I've never been so sexually attracted. Not hitting the baby. Look, this map could get it. Honestly, if my camera dies one more time, I hope I go with it. It's the most wonderful time of the year. What is up, cuties? So very excited to finally be filming my mid-year book freakout tag. I do this tag every year and I absolutely love it so much. It's really fun to look back over the first 6 months of the year and to just reflect on all of the books that you have read, the ones that stand out, the ones that, you know, fall by the wayside, that sort of thing. It's just a really fun time. The original creators are going to be linked in the description box below. Brilliant masterminds who brought us this tag of 13 questions that allow us to reflect on our reading experiences thus far. What I love about this tag is it is no frills. It gets right into it, and you can tell because the first question is, what is the best book that you have read all year? And that, my dear friends, is none other than You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. Those of you who have been watching my channel for 2 minutes know that this is my favorite author. I would die for Akwaeke. I would start doing my taxes for Akwaeke. They are such an amazing, moving author, and their range is so impressive. The stories that they weave, that they pull out of the fabric of the universe itself, they're just so freaking brilliant. This is a romance, and a lot of people don't realize that it is a foodie romance, and it is hella messy. So if you like your grieving, messy, dysfunctional, complex characters, you have to meet Fei Yi, who is our protagonist in You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. She is in her mid-20s and struggling with having lost the love of her life in a very terrible car accident, and she's an artist and she's slowly starting to find love again. She meets this man. He's like pushing hard for her hand in marriage. I don't know why I just turned into like a British lady. However, she is not convinced. But when he offers her the opportunity to come stay on his father's island, and she's like,
yeah, absolutely, let's go.
So he spirits her away to this amazing island, and she meets his daddy, and she decides that she wants his daddy to be her daddy. It is definitely a very controversial read, potentially Akwaeke's most controversial work. All of the sexy eating food from each other's fingers. And what made this book so phenomenal was the tension, because both of them were clearly trying to fight their feelings. It just made it very hot, made it very steamy. It was very sexy. The female-female relationship was really good. And I loved their dynamic. I loved the dialogue about what it means to be Nigerian, Nigerian-American, Nigerian and queer. All of that, just phenomenal. 10 out of 10. Cannot recommend You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty enough. Question 2 asks us what the best sequel you've read in 2022 was, and that is hands down going to be The Undertakers by Nicole Clever. Is getting an adaptation, and I am so excited. Sequel I was really nervous about because The Conductors was a work of art. It was a masterpiece, literary and mystery and magical and social commentary and historical and character driven while also somehow being plot driven.
All of that.
It takes all of these genres and mashes it into one with such a seamless execution. These books have something for everyone in them, and I just want to cradle them and hold them. Basically the exact opposite of how my father treated me as a child. Just trauma things. The sequel absolutely did not disappoint. Question number 3 asks us, new release you haven't read yet but want to. This is hands down going to be Babel by R.F. Kuang. Y'all know that I am a huge Poppy War stan. I have so many copies of the Poppy War, and all of them are absolutely vital to my personal survival. Babel marks the dark academia debut of R.F. Kuang, and I could not possibly be more excited about it. I am vibrating like a molecule. I feel like I've been given a chance to experience the dawning of the new world. I am so excited. If this book disappoints me, I think I'm just going to call it a day. I'm going to sell all of my possessions and move into the woods, and hopefully a flock of cows will adopt me and I'll just have to become one of them. I don't know how I'm going to survive if Babel is a letdown. I don't know. I don't want to find out. Dark academia is a pretty big miss for me. It's an unpopular opinion, I know. There are so many hierarchies, there's so many class issues that make me really uncomfortable. However, the books that BIPOC authors are contributing to the dark academia subgenre have been the exception because they address those concerns in the text and make them part of the story. R.F. Kuang is obviously a really fantastic fantasy writer, but she doesn't get enough respect and acknowledgement for her amazing social commentary and her voice outside of a fantasy writer, and we just know the social commentary is going to be on fleek on top of her giving us an amazing story. I don't even know what the plot is because I don't care. She could publish a grocery receipt and it would be my #1 most anticipated book of the year. That transitions us well to question number 4, which is what is your most anticipated release for the latter half of the year? This is one that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, and it's like, what do you have against joy? I'm gonna send you a magnifying glass in hopes you'll find your taste. And that book is none other than The Genesis of Misery. This is the story of Misery no Maki, a nobody from a nowhere mining planet. Misery has abilities they shouldn't, though. They can bend the will of stone, a dangerous magic that only saints are said to have. These abilities lead Misery to the center of the empire, where rumors spread that Misery is the next messiah, and where those in power seek to use Misery to win a terrible war. Amid a nest of vipers, Misery grows close to a rebellious royal, Lady Elodia Lightning, and decides to embrace the legacy the prophecies speak of. True or false, for better or worse, Misery no Maki will be the 9th Messiah. This book releases on September 27th of 2022, and when I tell you that I don't know how I'm going to survive until then, I truly, absolutely mean it. You are not going to see my freaking face until that book is done. Don't talk to me. Do not address me, do not perceive me, do not think about me, do not send me notes. I don't want to carry your pigeon. Akasha, I'm actually in the process of teaching her how to cook, that she can make her own meals while I am reading this book. Also teaching her how to unlock doors so that she can take herself out on a walk. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. Akasha is about to be the kid in a 90s rom-com who throws a party when their parents leave out of town. That dog is about to have her day because The Genesis of Misery by non-binary author Nian Yan, who I have never read before, and I'm so freaking excited, and our protagonist is also non-binary, and just... Next up, we have biggest disappointment. Other than my sexual experiences with men, my biggest disappointment has been Under the Idolatries by Chinelo Okparanta. Now, this is a very, very tentative biggest disappointment because this book is objectively phenomenal. 5 out of 5 star read. I do understand why this book is so incredible and beloved, and just, I don't know if it's won any awards, but it damn sure should have. Oh, it's won a Lambda.
The next time I complain about being single, I need one of you to forward me this moment.
This is about a girl named Ijeoma who is coming of age in war-torn Nigeria. So it is about her falling in love with another girl and these girls trying to fight for themselves and for each other amidst all of the things that they're experiencing. It is woven in with mythology. There are really critical social themes and so much to explore and enjoy within the text. The problem here is that I could not connect to the writing. It's upsetting because the writing was objectively phenomenal. There's so much in this novel that should in theory speak to me, and for some reason I just couldn't get into it.
LOL me trying to date men.
I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars, but it really was a big disappointment because I was actively expecting this book to be my next favorite thing. I read this for June with my beautiful patrons, and a bunch of them said that the audiobook is the way to go. So I'm going to reread this book at some point, maybe even this year, via audio, and maybe that will change everything. The next question wants to know, what has been your biggest surprise of 2022?
I don't know, other than the fact that our government still won't pass laws to prevent children from being killed while they're trying to learn. Just America things. America, America.
Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Basterrica. I really was surprised. We read this, was it last month for our, no, because last month we read The Red Palace, which is another one of my most anticipated releases, 5 out of 5 stars. It was in April, we believe, that we read Tender is the Flesh with our lovely patrons. And so many of us ended up DNFing this book because it is violent, it is very gruesome, it is chilling. The point where if I were ever to meet this author, I would have a friend on speed dial. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be sharing my location. This book was so deliciously, pun intended, brilliantly dark and creative, and I just was wow. A lot of folks don't realize that this is also a translated work, so if you are someone who is trying to read more translated fiction, a story that imagines a society where it has been legalized to consume human flesh, and the government is actively encouraging people to eat other folks. And this is about a man who's very disgusted with his society, but he ends up having to take care of one of the female chattel and hiding her in his home. And it's about what happens. Where do we begin? The audiobook is on Scribd and it blew my mind. It was so good. It was so dark. It was exactly the perfect narrator in order to carry this story.
However,
the ending, I have never, look at me. I'm the fucking captain now. Look at me. Are you looking? Look into my freaking nostrils, okay? Like, because my soul is down there. This was the most surprising ending I have ever experienced. It shocked me more than the ending of The Silent Patient. And I was really shocked, did not see that coming. And it was phenomenal. I loved this ending. I was so upset. I was so duped. I felt betrayed. Not hitting the baby. Next question is a favorite new author or an author that is new to you, and that is very easily going to be Nicole Glover. She is so phenomenal. She is the author of The Conductors and The Undertakers, and I am so in love with her writing, with her abilities. I hope that she is going to create another book and or series besides The Conductors, because I would just love to see how she writes outside of this beautiful, lush world that she has created. Oh my gosh. Please do not cancel me for the fact that I have made The Conductors my entire personality, because the next question asks, who is your newest fictional crush? And I have to be freaking honest, dude. It's Benji. It is Benji from The Undertakers. If I'm crushing on a boy, you know that shit is real. And I didn't even realize that I was in love with this man. Something happened that made me realize that I want to be with him. I want to be him, but I also want to be with him. And I want to be his homie. I really don't think in reality I would actually want to. Maybe. What is happening? Like, why are we talking about this like I'm gonna find him on Hinge? He is the husband of Henrietta, our protagonist, and he is a blacksmith. He is really amazing. I think of him as Black Sherlock Holmes, hands down. He is so analytical and brilliant and methodical, but cares so deeply about his community. He is strong, and not just physically strong, but emotionally. He is not afraid to do what it takes to get things done. Benji is devoted to his community and to his loved ones and his family in a way that is so ultimately precious. Absolutely adore him. Newest favorite character, absolutely Xingyan from Daughter of the Moon Goddess. As y'all know, because this book is absolutely fucking everywhere, you cannot sneeze without inhaling particles of this book. It is a Chinese mythological fantasy about this girl who is the daughter of a moon goddess that has been exiled after being accused of stealing the emperor's elixir situation. And so she kind of sets out to clear her mother's name and free her. This girl reminds me so much of Rin from the Poppy War in a good way. She's all the things about Rin that people love and none of the things about Rin that people hate. She reminded me so much of Rin, and not at all because they are both Chinese and in fantasy, but just because genuinely, like, their personalities, the way they react to certain situations. However, she reacts in ways that I wish Rin could have reacted. And I say could have because, like, Rin gets such a bad rap, but it's like we often don't talk about the fact that this girl was grieving hardcore and going under massive amounts of trauma. If you want to see a video where I talk about Rin and do a character analysis and kind of defend her and a lot of her actions, let me know, comment down below. Then we have a book that made you cry, and that is absolutely going to be The Undead Truth of Us by Brittany Lewis. First of all, this cover can make me cry from the beauty alone, okay? I just want to slap myself in the face with everything about this book. And part of the reason that it made me almost cry, like it got me very, very close, the way that, you know, men never did. Part of the reason that it did was because the main character, who is grieving the loss of her mother, is living with synesthesia, and I have synesthesia. I pretty much never talk about it, but I do have synesthesia, and the representation was so freaking spot on. Like, those of you who loved Emily XR Pans, what? Who's Pan? Honestly, if my camera dies one more time, I hope I go with it. I have never wanted to fight a piece of equipment so bad, so if the whole situation looked a little different, you can just blame the iPhone. Next up is a book that made you happy, and that is definitely going to be Just by Looking at Him by Ryan O'Connell. I have never read a funnier book in my life. I am so freaking serious. This book had me rolling on the ground. It was like an Adele song.
You could have had it all.
Freaking amazing. I was rolling in the deep the entire time. And in this book, we are following a man who is a Hollywood writer, and he lives with cerebral palsy. He is gay, he struggles with alcoholism, and he decides to start hiring sex workers. It is funny, it is messy, there's amazing social commentary about ableism and what it means to be a disabled body in today's workforce and in today's dating industry and all of that. The writing was so amazing, like it was so multifaceted, and it just pulled you right in. I just highly recommend everybody to read it. It is so good. I'm telling you, you will not read a funnier book. I promise you. If you read this and you tell me it's not the funniest book you've ever read, well, first of all, I won't believe you. Second, I would be genuinely shocked. Genuinely shocked. Also, let me know what the funniest books that you've ever read are, because I need more. I need more books that will make me laugh like this. Next up is, what is the most beautiful book that you've bought this year or received? Now, I received these books from the publisher, and for the covers alone, for Carolina Built, I mean, the gold detailing, this amazing, beautiful profile, the cheekbone, the updo, really stunning. Everything about this book makes me want to pick it up. Even if the book is trash, I'm still gonna, oh my God, I keep hitting that baby. And then for YA, Café con Leche by Emery Lee, who is an author that I read last year and just loved. This cover is absolutely everything that I've ever needed in my life. It is so vibrant, it is so beautiful, and I love a food romance. I really, really do. I'm realizing that that is a trope that I very, very much enjoy, and it just is so cool and very graphic novel-y. And we have Hide by Kirsten White, and it's not because of this cover. It's not because of the front, even though the front cover is actually really, really solid. It is because of the funking map on the inside. Look, this map could get it. I've never been so sexually attracted. It's so freaking good. I'm really, really excited for this horror book about people who are playing this game for money in a haunted park, and they're being, you know, picked off one by one. And finally, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And for this final question, I decided to pick a bunch of books for within different genres, just to give y'all some varieties. First up is Pizza Girl. This is by Jean Kyung Fraser, and it is supposed to be really hilarious and really, really messy, and I am obsessed with messy, morally gray, kind of broken protagonists, because fucking same. And we're following an 18-year-old girl who is pregnant, and she becomes obsessed with her next door neighbor, who I believe is a dominatrix. Something like that. I love obsession books. I love obsession books. And she also is like a pizza delivery driver. Can't wait to read this. Everybody on Bookstagram was obsessed with it last year, and I am ready to join. Another contemporary that I really want to read, and it's told in verse. This is Dreaming of You by Melissa Lozada Oliva. And this is, look, this cover. I mean, look at her. Who is she? Inquiring minds want to know.
Gorgeous.
Told in verse, this is about a poet who's going through a life crisis, and she resurrects Selena from the dead. And it is also supposed to be sapphic. And I'm like, is it gonna be like a zombie ghost kinky situation? Like, it's giving fan fiction, and I'm not mad about it. And then in terms of our, you know, adult literary novels, I have picked up Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. So many of you have told me, like, since I've picked this up, y'all are showing up in droves in the comment section to tell me to read this book. Y'all have been screaming at me to read this book, and it is also supposed to be devastatingly sad. Devastatingly sad. It's supposed to be set in the South, about these two kids who are being raised by their grandparents, one of whom is dying of cancer, and their mother comes back into their life like a hurricane, and their mother struggles with substance use. They go on the run because their father was released from prison, and they have to escape him because he's trying to hunt the family down. Like, there's so much, and I've heard that it is absolutely devastating and gorgeously written, amazing character work, and it's not even that long. Like, I feel like what can be a big turnoff about literary-esque novels is the fact that, you know, they can be really dense, and it's only 270 pages. Now, to satisfy the horror fans, we have Demonic Foes. This is by Richard Gallagher, who is an MD. He is a psychiatrist who investigated possessions, diabolic attacks, and the paranormal for 25 years. And this is a compilation of his research. I am so freaking excited. I could not be more excited about this book. I'm very, very curious. Finally, for my romance fans, I have Dating Dr. Dill. Now, I hauled this from Book of the Month earlier in the year, and I'm not a big romance reader, as many of y'all know, but I do love me a BIPOC romance, and I am so excited to get to this one. I think this might be a fake dating situation, and I've heard so many of you say that it's really, really, really good. If I hit this baby one more... That is the mid-year book freakout tag. If you want to see more of my books that I need to read by the end of the year, I will leave my 22 books that I have to read in 2022, or I unhaul them, and they're all 5-star predictions that I'm really excited about. A lot of you really enjoyed that video, so I'll leave that link down below. Thank you so much to the creators of this tag for making something that so many of us love every single year. Thank you to y'all for watching. If you want more content from me, I do have a Patreon where I post exclusive content for my patrons only. All of my social media links are in the description box below. Until next time, stay safe, be good to yourselves, be good to others, and I hope to see you in my next video.